Welcome to the Encouragers Podcast. Episode 47 starts now.
Man, this is that music that gets me going, man. It's like house music or something. Electronic.
Trance. I call it trance music.
Yeah, that is, man, for reals.
I'm going to send you the one. We don't have to play it, but I'm going to share with you the one I've been vibing out to a lot lately.
These kind of songs seem like these are the type of songs that runners run to, long distance runners.
Yeah, it would make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you used to run like hella long time? Like for a long time?
The
Like,
only time is when I was training for a Spartan, and
mm-hmm.
I'd run like 5 miles, but that's not like, that's nothing compared to like anybody that really runs would be like, that's a jog.
Mm.
I don't like running.
Man, I used to
So
love running.
you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I used
I
to.
just I never could get to the runner's high. It was just all pain for me.
Well, where I lived when I grew up, I lived in low income housing over here in Raleigh Heights area. It's like north of Reno towards the Stead area. And in the back of our housing complex, there was a trail that would there was a trail that would go from it was one of the it wasn't a real trail people go run on, but I kind of turned it to one. And man, bro, I ran from the back of the hills of where we stayed in Raleigh Heights all the way down to I don't know if you remember where Pepper Mill is here in Reno,
Mm,
like towards the downtown area. I would do that run like back and forth like every other day.
wow.
Yeah, it was nice, man. I used to love running. This was like my senior year in high school. Oh, I got that link. It's my senior year
You
in
don't
high
have
school.
you don't have to play it or anything, but that's just like I've been it's like deep thought. It's not quite as like upbeat as yours. This one's more like journey through space type music.
Mm, that's what's up.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to take a cup to get my mind going here. Unfortunately, I fell asleep
Oh, you're
on the
good,
couch
brother.
and I woke up and still trying to get my mind in gear here.
Man, you got a quarter there?
Just a little more than a quarter.
Dang it. I have some kava too. I have a kilo, but
You
it's
do?
yeah, I do, but it's back at my homeboy Falau's house with all the utensils and everything. I need to be better prepare myself when we're doing these
Yeah,
podcasts.
this helps a lot.
I felt good. I hadn't mixed them in a minute, man. I hadn't mixed in a while, and this past weekend I hit up Falau Leka, and we did a little mix session in his house. It's hella fun. I chased it with some sparkling water. It's way
You
better.
did?
Yeah, it's way better chasing with sparkling water for some reason. I don't know.
Did you flavor your sparkling water at all?
Nah, it was just straight, just mineral water. I
It's
think it was the
gangster right there.
Pellegrino. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that, but if it gets to the flavor gets strong, because it's nice the mineral water kills it at the beginning for sure.
Hmm.
If you start pushing it all, it's nice having a little flavor. And this is the
Yeah.
one unhealthy part about Pellegrinos. I'll put some of the Mio drops in there, and I know
Hmm.
they got dyes and stuff and they store it in a plastic. So I know it's not super. I'm trying to find healthier options, but
Yeah.
sometimes I like it flavored a little bit. Sometimes I just like it as is.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
it's
are you on a mineral water kick now too?
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to stay away from the plastics, man.
Yep.
Everything
Yep.
that leaks in it. Even though the water that we get from Costco, I try not to drink those. I
In
try to just
plastic.
straight up plastic, bro. All that stuff's leaking in there because when they when they're at the factories and stuff, they're bottling the water, all the plastics at room temperature, and then they pack it into a semi truck. Those semi trucks
Yep.
are usually warm, right? They're heating up. It heats up and cools down as it's being transported.
Yep.
Um,
Shedding plastic right into your water.
Straight up. And we know from
Particulates.
yep. And we know from, studies, recent health studies, that consuming a lot of those plastics is creating like low sperm counts, low everything, testosterone
They say,
count.
yeah, per I think it's per month, right? They're saying people consume, it's either per month or per week that people are consuming a credit card worth of plastic.
Yeah.
So, and liquid is the biggest culprit.
Hmm.
In some of our other plastic containers, it's not as much. Like things that aren't liquid don't typically shed articulates, plastic articulates like liquids do.
Yeah.
So, but liquids being the culprit, I'm with you. The thing I drink the most, water, I'm trying to drink out of glass as much as I can. In this case, it comes to Pellegrino, and I love Pellegrino.
Hmm. Yeah. Glass is
Yep.
good. Also, stainless steel, those kind of containers if you
Yep.
can. The big old hydro flask, those type of bottles, beneficial.
Right.
It's
We just
just
need to go
crazy.
the way of Paul and get the dang spend the money, was a 5 or 10 grand or whatever it is, and get you a water filter, and then you can put it into your glass container or your stainless steel from there.
Mm. I didn't. He uses a water filter like that.
He's got a high end water filter.
That's what's up. That's the way to go. Because all these the water treatment systems, even here locally, they don't get out all the particulates. Even like there's a lot of
Yep.
chemicals and stuff in it. Like our water is not as it
Yeah, you
used to
need
be.
charcoal and reverse osmosis to get out the birth control chemicals that are in the water.
Hmm.
Which is, people might hear that and be like, "What?" Yeah, do a little research on that one.
Yeah.
So you wonder why there's a lot of things that are making men have less testosterone, and that is one of the things that is potentially causes a lot of little causes out there that are adding up to a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy, man. Crazy stuff, dog. Like every day we're finding something out, something new out.
Yep, yep.
Why is it like that? It doesn't have to be like that. We need more positive, like, you know, good energy food people in our governments and our local authorities. We need some kind of like, I don't know, more natural, more positive stuff for
It,
foods and
yeah, it'd be nice to. Here's the issue though: is our elected officials are influenced by donors because they can be donated to for their campaigns, so they can stay in office. And also, there are a lot of people to feed, and there isn't currently an infrastructure that can feed everybody in the healthiest way either. So
mm,
we can't just burn it all down, right?
yeah,
Because we need to feed everybody. But a concerted effort, to your point, from the government, like instead of climate change, okay, right?
yeah,
Um, which this could also help climate change. Why not encourage more small farms for each community and give incentives for local um local grocery stores to get their food from the local farmers, so thus reducing the amount of transportation costs and oil to get there if they're local farmers. And in addition, those local farmers will agree to certain parameters to raise their livestock and their vegetables in a healthier way, right? I know that's not, that's more of a dream world because you can't get every product locally,
mm,
but that's where it starts, is if your local community encourages those things to happen, and then from the government side they're going to encourage local purchasing for different reasons, and also provide information to people, not to scare them but just give them an option, right? And that's the lately government thinks they know best for everything, rather than, like, why not encourage, be like, listen, we've got these options, this one should be healthier for you based on the science, choose whatever you want, but instead there's either nothing or misinformation. So, I would like you, but they leave it to us. Thankfully we have enough freedom to research it ourselves. It's just not easy to find.
yeah, that's true. I was at Costco the other day, looking for some cookies to buy, and I grabbed these cookies I usually eat, the Knott's Berry Farm ones with the little shortbread cookies,
Yeah.
with the jelly in the middle. Those are bomb. And I was looking at the ingredients, dude. It has red 40 in there. I was like,
Yeah.
but it tastes so good. I just ate them anyways. What's one little? I'm not gonna go throw this whole box away just because it has a little bit of red 40 in it. I mean, I'm already used to where I think we're already used to eating all this stuff anyways. Or I don't know if we're gonna mutate or something, but yeah, I was like, ah, man, these cookies were dope until I seen the ingredients. Red 40,
Yeah,
cancerous.
that's what. Yep, that's what most ingredients, the preservatives, the dyes are not good for us. And we need the preservatives in there for it to last long enough for us to buy it. But we can also choose with our dollar to stop buying it
Yeah.
and force them to have a healthier option for us. And
Mhm.
again, maybe they have to spread out further rather than having one massive plant. Maybe you have to have more places that you can make it fresher so it doesn't last as long, but you can get it fresher in the stores. Like this is ultimately where I want it to go
Mhm.
is um aim it towards communities. And again, I know that's not always possible everywhere, but that's how we get better food. I mean,
Yeah.
Europe has done this. Other places outside of us have far stronger standards, eating, health standards than us. So
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
us, is
It's
one of those downsides is that the politicians are influenced by this money and capitalism, which I'm a huge fan of because I think there is no other greater way to do things. But when you have these huge companies influencing our government officials to not say anything or have standards a certain way, regardless of the unhealthiness of certain products, that's
mhm.
not beneficial to us, the people.
Yeah, to no one. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if I told you about my experience when I went to Greece. So Annie, I don't know if you remember Annie from my reception.
Yeah.
Annie, she brought me on to go shoot, be her videographer for the documentary that her and her friend Irene was shooting. She brought me on to go shoot. So I was out there in Greece shooting that refugee documentary, and that whole time I was there, I think it was there for what, 3 weeks or something, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, no, about 3 weeks or so. And then the whole time I was there, I ate, I ate like fresh salads, fresh like milk, uh cheese, all this sort of stuff. And on my way back from Greece, while I was in London Heathrow, when I connected out at London Heathrow. For some reason, I was wearing my glasses. I couldn't. It was hurting for me to wear my glasses, so I took my glasses off, and miraculously, I could see without my glasses on. Like I could, like I didn't need my. I could see. I had perfect vision, bro. Like no kid, it was no joke. I could see. I could see down the hall. I could see. I could read the letters and see how the advertising, you know, playbills all over the place, man. It was, and then I tried to put on my glasses, and like it hurt my eyes to wear it. So I think like being down there and eating like 3 weeks of food that were straight health, like fruits and salads that were straight fresh from the farm, and cheese and lamb that was straight fresh from the farm. So I think it changed up my body metabolism or my body chemical or body makeup or something. It fixed my eyesight. And it maybe like 2 months after I got back to the States, it went away.
What do they say, right? Food is medicine.
Bro, 100%, I believe that. 100%, I believe food is medicine, man. And recently, it wasn't until recently I learned that every product out there in the market has some sort of lobbyist. Like I didn't know, like pig farmers of United States, they have their own lobbyists. The chicken people, they have their own lobbyists. The beef people, they have lobbyists for Congress, right? Did you know this? I didn't know that. I'm like just now finding out that they have their own like spokespeople to push their ideas of what they want mandated for the government to, not check them or whatever. That blew my mind, man. I had no idea that they really had like different have the sheep farmers of America. They have their own lobbyists, chicken farmers of America, pigs,
Makes
beef.
sense. Yeah.
That's crazy. Even vegetables, man. Vegetables have their own lobbyists. So all they do is have people trying to push for their agenda, for their market value or whatever, their capital.
Yeah. What's
But
going on with the whole drought water issue over there with Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, and California over there?
I
Do you know much about that?
I know we have record like accumulation of precipitation. So a lot of snow. We have record amounts of snow. It just snowed like was it Wednesday today? Snowed on Monday and add another 5 inches of snow up in in the mountains. So I we shouldn't be in the drought anymore. I think we're probably clear for most of northern Nevada, northern California.
Where do you
But
get your water from there? Do you get
our,
your water from Colorado River?
no, we get it up north from in Sacramento.
Okay.
Comes through up there and all the rivers up north for in Northern California. That's where most of our water comes from. And I believe like up towards Idaho too, up towards that
Okay.
area. But
So
we're
Southern
record
Nevada is
amounts.
different then, huh?
Yeah, I think they get theirs from like the Colorado area, I believe. Not too sure, but last time I heard when I was covering the drought stories, that I think that's what was going on. Colorado would send some, or Colorado and Utah send some of their water down to Vegas.
I'm gonna
But
send you a video here that kind of talks about the issues they're running into with the water situation in Arizona and Southern Nevada are having the
really,
problems with it. Yeah, that's why I was asking. I know you're up north, and for a lot of people that don't haven't looked at Nevada before, Reno's up right by Sacramento, right?
yeah,
You're very, very far north. Nevada's a pretty long north-south state, right?
yeah, yeah. We're up here, up towards Sacramento, up towards Lake Tahoe. If you guys know where Lake Tahoe is, we're 15 minutes from Lake Tahoe, right here in the valley. I didn't know they had a water situation going on.
Yeah, bear with me while I search for this video and I'll send it to you for we it's not too long. Kind of breaks down what's going on with it
Mm,
and what's going on in California with
hmm.
that. And typically see if I can find it.
Talking to your mic,
Lost the
Jake.
see if I can find it over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I know the watershed or the water pack, the snowpack has been record breaking water snowpacks this year. So not sure how that correlates down south, but that's unusual. I know. I remember Lake Mead. They would find like there's this thing that they were finding dead bodies and cars and stuff in Lake Mead because it was so low.
Really?
Yeah, bro, it was all over the news. Um, they're saying like people the mob from the mafia days. It got the
Oh,
river the lake gotten so low that they all the dead bodies that people dumped in there and the cars and stolen vehicles and all these other items they were slowly coming up because the water was so low. So it actually helped solve a lot of missing person cases that the lake was so low in those in that area.
all right. I just sent it to you.
Oh, okay, we'll see.
And it's Peter Zion talking about um he used to work in Washington. Just a little background. He's a global analyst for the economy and other things. And so he's kind of talking about the water crisis. It's worth the 9 minutes. I don't know if you want to
Hey
get
everybody,
into it
Peter
and
Zine
listen to
here,
it and stop
coming
and
to
comment
you
on it.
from.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
All right, let me rewind this mug.
Hey everybody, Peter Zine here, coming to you from Vegas, and today
You can
we
hear
are
it,
going
right,
to
Jake?
talk about water
Yep.
and drought and all the things that come from that. Specifically here in the American Southwest, we have a water problem. Now, for those of you who know your paleontological history, that's a mouthful, you will know that the Southwest has a history of mass extinction and civilizational breakdown events that have on time descended into cannibalism. The issue is the terrain. It's an arid area with a lot of elevation, and that means that most of its water comes from orographic precipitation, which is a fancy term that says that when you get moisture moving across a landscape, if it hits an elevation center, a mountain, it will rise. And if the temperature at the higher elevations is cold enough, the water will condense into vapor, form clouds, and then rain. And most of the rainfall that hits the American Southwest has that sort of origin. The problem with orographic precipitation, though, is it's fickle, and oftentimes you will not get enough cold temperatures at elevation or not sufficiently humid air currents in order to generate the moisture in the first place. So rivers literally come and go, and that has caused the collapse of civilizational systems as you get megadroughts from time to time to time. We are in one of those periods now, so that's problem one. Problem two. When the American Southwest realized that they had limited amounts of water, the states, back in the 1920s, 1922 I think, set up a legal structure called the Colorado River Compact, in which they agreed to share the water. The problem was that the year that they used to evaluate how much water they had to share was one of the wettest years on record. So we've known for decades that in time, the volumes that were written out in the treaty just weren't going to be there. In addition, this is all heavily litigated and legalized, all written down in law and at the federal level. It's an issue of senior water rights. So the urban centers that existed at the time of the treaty, 1922, have priority. And anyone who has built infrastructure since then to tap into the waterway network is at a lower priority. So if you were an urban center in 1922, you have senior water rights, and everyone else who is added in is lower and lower and lower and lower until if you were at the very bottom in, say, the 70s, when your system was built, you're at the very, very bottom. The first state mentioned in the compact is the one that had the highest population then and now, and that's California. But Los Angeles has 15 million people. The entire Southwest only had that many people in 1922, so you can see it's part of the problem. The last state to build out its infrastructure to tap the waterway network was Arizona. It only finished the Central Arizona project in the late 60s and into the 70s. So they're at the very bottom. And when there was a dispute over water a few years ago, Arizona and California ended up in court in the Supreme Court.
Dude, I remember that dispute. I had to cover it. That's funny. Oh, that he's talking about
The
that.
Supreme Court ruled very, very clearly that California has senior water rights and Arizona is at the bottom of the stack of junior water rights, which means that Arizona water demand can go to zero.
Yeah.
Pull up the in the chat, pull up that picture so people can see that are watching. There's a I put up the Wikipedia, and there's a picture of the Colorado River Basin, and so they can kind of see as he's talking about it, just like where everything is for those that, and bear with us for those of us that are listening on Spotify or Apple. We'll just kind of have to talk you through it, but for those that are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the visual here. You can zoom in on the and then click on the map.
This
Not
one
that
up here?
one, the one below it. Yeah, I like that one because it's got the river there. All right, perfect.
I'll play this dude.
Can go to zero before California has to cut at all. And with that ruling in California's back pocket, California has simply refused to engage in negotiations with the other states of the Colorado River Basin. So we even had a deal last year where all of the other states got together and agreed to slash their demand if, in exchange, California would make a moderate decline. And California refused. The California position officially is you all go to zero and die, and we will just keep having our golf courses. So the debate now among the other states, especially the upstream states, is about just walking away from the compact completely. Now, this would lead to California suing them in a court case that they would probably lose, but that would take years because it would get tied up in court. And in the meantime, California would go completely dry, and Southern California gets roughly a third of their water from the Colorado River. So massive economic dislocation. Now, aside from the whole human tragedy of this, why does this matter? Well, let me give you 3 reasons. Number 1, the world is deglobalizing and the United States is discovering if it still wants stuff, it needs to build out its own industrial plant. So there is a competition among the states right now about where that stuff will go. Growing a lot of food in the desert. not the person who does the plastic molding, is not the person who does assembly. These are all different skill sets. They all have different price points for the labor. And so you need multiple skill sets, multiple price points, multiple labor forces in relatively close proximity. This is one of the reasons that East Asia has done so well in this space for decades, because you have your technocracies in Korea and Japan and Taiwan, you have your mass assembly in places like Vietnam and China, and then you have your midpoint if you can keep the water flowing. And another big reason is agriculture. Now, one of the big problems, one of the reasons why the Southwest is in this problem is that they are growing a lot of food in the desert. And, if you look at that on its surface, you got to wonder if that was a very good idea in the first place. And the answer is no, it was not a very good idea in the first place. But it is now part of our food security system. And so places like Yuma, Arizona, which are about as far south in the country as you can get all of their water from these water courses that are governed by the compact. And if Colorado just walks away, then in the winter, we're talking about losing a quarter to a third of most of our fresh vegetables, because it's got the perfect climate for it if you got the water. Now, unlike, say, interior Washington, where you've got the Columbia River, which is the continent's biggest water flow by volume, and you take water from that for, say, the Yakima and the Walla Walla and the Benson systems, it's not a big deal. But you can't do that at scale over time in a watershed like we have in the Southwest. And so we're talking about losing a significant amount of food production that is important not just locally and regionally, but across the national system. Now, California, don't get too smug. The Central Valley is facing this exact same problem, and you can't blame that one on anyone upstate. That is your homegrown ecological and agricultural crisis. That's a problem for another day. And then third, taxes. One of the things that we've seen in the last few years is Americans are moving in a way that they haven't in quite some time. The baby boomers want to move someplace where it's warmer. The millennials want to move someplace that has more elbow room, where it's cheaper to expand the cities and therefore they can afford yards. And not a lot of people want to be dependent on mass transport because they're afraid of diseases. Well, the American Southwest scratches all of those itches, and it has been the fastest growing part of the country from in-migration in the country now for roughly 50 years. And all else being equal, there's not a lot of reason to expect that to change.
Yeah, especially Arizona.
Unless there's a persistent water crisis. Now, the good news is there are a lot of things that America can do in order to get by a lot better. You remove a lot of the water-intensive agriculture from the region. You make things like golf courses go away. You don't have fountains in Phoenix, for example. And you just manage your water resources with the best technologies of the 13th century. We can probably have a population increase of 50% without a problem. But above all, the Colorado Compact has to be renegotiated for a more realistic environment. And since California will not choose to do that willingly, they're going to have to be forced, which means either we do have a crisis first triggered by the upstream states, or Congress steps in and abrogates the pact and imposes a replacement. This is going to be an ugly, ugly political.
And then go back to the map. So we can let's walk people through the map for those that were that are just listening, right? So you've got let's paint the picture just a little bit. You've got a Wyoming above Utah, right? And Colorado. So Utah, if you imagine you're hovering in a drone, right? Above the Southwest United States. You've got Wyoming. In the lower corner of Wyoming kind of cuts into Utah, and to the right or to the east of Utah, you have Colorado, right? And why I'm prepping this, right, is because right near Wyoming is kind of where the Colorado River starts in Colorado, and it heads west in a southwesterly path. So right below Colorado is New Mexico, but the Colorado River actually cuts into Utah, which is directly west. And then also goes south into northern Arizona, right? So it cuts through Moab, and it goes down through the eastern corner of Utah, then comes right in smack into the north central part of Arizona, and goes through the Grand Canyon and heads west, and then runs right into the Hoover Dam. For those of you that have seen pictures there, runs through the Hoover Dam and right next to Vegas, right? Has not hit California yet. So then it kind of goes south from there and California shares a small part of that. So California is hogging most of the water, apparently, is what we're hearing from this information from Peter Zion. But they're not willing to renegotiate the pact. And so what they're saying is that the upstream states like Utah, Colorado that have control over this are simply going to make the decision for California if California won't renegotiate.
And the pact is between Wyoming or Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and
Arizona,
California.
California. Yep. And
If
I
I was
believe Nevada too, because just a little bit of Nevada. See, I didn't realize this till we saw the map, but I forgot Vegas is just on the very, very southern corner of Nevada.
yeah, the Hoover Dam, Lake Malawi.
The Hoover Dam is essentially just the border with Nevada. It's the southeastern border of Nevada and Arizona.
Lake
Right?
Mojave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's water up north for California, but it's affecting the snowpack. Then is he talking about the snowpack not being the record snowpack that they had up in the Sierras is not going to affect the watershed for them?
So Southern California's desert is what he's talking about, right? So is like so is Southern Arizona, Southern Nevada as well, right? So they're taking up um Southern California doesn't get its water from the snowpack or from where you are, apparently, right? So it's coming, if you watch the path of the Colorado River, excuse me, it's coming if you're in, so think like LA and San Diego, right? Think those cities, it's all north and east from them, right? So the Colorado River walks back up towards, walks north and east back towards Colorado. But California is taking too much of their share of the water and hurting Arizona with this. And so that's what they're all talking about here.
Mm.
All right, I think we can finish up
For
what
the
he's
next
got
few
here.
years that is absolutely unavoidable, but is absolutely critical if the United States in general and this region in specific is going to take advantage of the demographic and geopolitical shifts that are racking our world right now. This region should be one of the biggest beneficiaries of the changes going on, but they have to be able to get the water situation right. All right, that's it from me. See you guys next time.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if any of the water that any of the snowpack is gonna alleviate some of that pressure down south for their water situation. Right. But then
and so
Arizona's not getting anything.
Yeah, right. That's the issue here. Is California's taking too much from, and then Arizona's not getting the option there. But to Peter Zion's point, they've got to be realistic, okay? Do their golf courses take precedence over their citizens in these cases? And I know the golf course is a big tourist action, but if we continue to have a drought, there's going to be some harsh decisions where crops are more important than golf courses, that fountains in Arizona are more important than or excuse me, the people of Arizona, and having water is more important than having a fountain there, right? So they're going to have to make some decisions where it's strategic, and they'll have to make some tough decisions. And so I was going to ask the people that are listening too, what are the water situations going on where you live if you pay attention to this? And it is something interesting to pay attention to, because if your water isn't good to drink, in these drier areas, a lot of times it's not drinkable water, right? You can't, you technically could drink the water in Arizona, right? But you shouldn't. Is it listed as not, I think the word is potable
water.
How you pronounce it? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone remember when we lived there? We had to go to the freaking like little watersheds to get our water.
Right. Is that because it just tasted bad, or it's because you can't drink it?
I don't know. I'm gonna assume that it's the taste. You can't drink it.
I know it tasted bad, so I'm not gonna lie. I lived there in Arizona. I didn't like to drink it. That's why we always went to, we got bottled water from the 5-gallon jugs. We filled those up. So that was the way we did it back then. But yeah, if you guys are listening, you guys have some water there's something going on with your water, let us know in the comments so we can kind of talk about it on the podcast and see what's going on for each. I'm sure people in Michigan have, their issues with water. I know Hawaii had some issues with gasoline getting into or oil getting into the water supply. I think it was on the Big Island, right? Um,
Yeah, one of the military bases leaked,
right,
or yeah, leaked a bunch
right. So
of toxin fuels into the water system.
yeah, let us know in the comments what your water situation is. What's going on, and we can address that and talk about it too.
Yeah, if they, the Colorado River is huge, man. It's a proper river, like the rivers out in the East Coast, Delaware River, that river in Ohio that was contaminated. The Delaware River was contaminated for a minute, probably still is contaminated. But yeah, yeah, I don't think we'd think, you know what, we don't really think about that, man. We're blessed to live in a country where that stuff should come automatic. We always just turn on the faucet and we should have clean running water. But yeah, with the times how it is going right now, we might have to check ourselves, check our officials, keep them in check, because water is a huge necessity, a part of life.
Keep them in check, and then also ask yourself, hey, if you lost power, do you have a way of drinking clean water? Do you have, one of those straws? Like I have one of those straws that you can drink. You can literally drink straight up a stream, right?
Mm.
So, do you have a way? Are you prepared if something were to happen where we don't have access to water in the ways that we're used to? Just think about being prepared, and we're a little spoiled there, right? And rightfully so. We live in the best country in the world, in my opinion. So we
That's a
can,
fact. That's a
we
fact.
have a luxury of demanding that from our politicians where we live, but also be prepared for all scenarios.
100%. That's a good. I never thought about that until you brought it up, Jake. I thought we are cool with our water situation going on with the drought up here up north, but it didn't dawn on me to think about down south because of the record snowpack that we've had. I'm gonna ask around, see what our drought situation is for here up north. I'm gonna ask some of my news people, my news gathering folks, if you're listening. And yeah, that's something to definitely pay attention to, is our local water supplies. Definitely need to pay attention to that. But yeah, what else is going on that is positive and uplifting? I've been going down a bunch of rabbit holes, trying to figure out the whole solar system thing, but don't want to get into that. Maybe that could be a Jake and Notice episode.
Yeah,
But
can't
yeah,
wait.
I reached out to Billy Carson. To what is
Yeah,
it? Billy Carson? Yeah, that's his name, Billy Carson. I sent him an email, bro. Hopefully we can get him on.
that guy. So I've listened to a lot of his stuff, man. He's throwing facts out of right and left. Here's the hard part with that. Okay,
Hmm.
let's slow down a little bit for me and
Yeah.
tell me your sources and where you got
Yeah.
each thing from.
Mhm.
Because my man he'll drop like in one sentence, right? He'll drop
And gloss over it like
three
it's nothing.
mind blowing, yeah, mind blowing like quantum theory discoveries or theories or whatever it is, right? And then he'll just gloss over that where he found it, and
Mhm.
and so I need him to slow down a little bit. I know he's
Man,
ahead of
massive,
everything.
massive.
I need to slow down, but yeah, he's a cool concept. I actually don't agree with some of the things that he says, but I find him super interesting and I love his theories. Like it's good to hear, even though I have some pushback for some of them, and I don't necessarily have the science to back it up. But um, I have some disagreements conceptually with some of the things watching his stuff. But I do really like that. He talks about energy, and we've kind of been big into that without really really breaking everybody's mind here. We're all built of electricity, right? So we have electrons, we have neurons, we have our brains have our electrical impulses. So when you think about electricity, it's made up of light, right? So that's basically one of the concepts there, in terms of keeping a positive mindset. Why then our name is the encouragers, why you notice in the other boys came up with that name, right? It kind of all aligns there because you creating a positive mindset is creating a good frequency, a good healthy frequency for positivity, for health, for kindness, for success, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the big takeaway that I like from his messages. He kind of aligns with that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I like the fact that yeah, he there's some out there stuff like when he was talking about how the spirit is harnessed in the four things that like he went over the four things that captures our body and our spirit into our avatar bodies. That yeah, well, let's not talk about that. But yeah, there's the frequency and energy is super important because we're made of electrons, like you were saying, and that we can actually because we're all vibrating in a certain frequency, we can attract higher frequencies if we're vibrating at a higher frequency. And you kind of see it in your own personal life. Just think about it. When you've been like positive and just, firing all cylinders and have a positive mindset, you seem to attract things that are more positive in your life. For me, that's
Right.
been the case. And when you're in a low, when you're down and out, when you're going through the struggle, it's hard to attract anything that's vibrating, a positive mindset and all that stuff when you're in that low frequency. So it kind of makes sense in that way. But then at the same time, it goes a little bit deeper because our thoughts, our energy, it goes out into the ether, not into the ether, but it can, you're when he talks about quantum entanglement, bro, like how things can download and
Is that
upload.
like is that like Will Smith and Jada?
I don't know. Maybe that's something.
Not that kind of entanglement.
Yeah, not that entanglement. We all knew that everyone wanted to be in Jada's type of entanglement, but yeah, it's just wild, man. It's just I resonate with that part where he was saying that there's some truth into that, but yeah, some of the other stuff is just it's out there, makes you think, and I like that. I like challenging my thoughts and my beliefs and my faith and all that stuff, but kind of
Right. And for people that are like their eyes glaze over and when we start saying frequency, just think about it this way. Like but when we talk about vibrating at a higher frequency, it's being positive, right?
mm,
So you're projecting positivity. That's really what it comes down to is you're projecting success, you're projecting positivity. When you're kind to others, others are kind back to you, and you draw people to you that are also kind. You draw those people in, right? And
mm.
so that's really what we're talking about is think about the last time you did service. When you have you ever gone and done service? If you haven't, I recommend you do. That's one thing I think that makes you a better human being. But even just doing a kind gesture for another human being without expecting something back, how did that make you feel? Right? That's what we're talking about. When you hear people talk about vibrate at a higher frequency, those are the types of things that those are the actions. That's how that's how we translate it to actions there.
Yeah, and just in real talk, like just layman's terms, is you can't get ahead if you're putting people down. You know, you
Right.
can't advance and get a higher position or a higher area of your life if you're constantly tearing people down. I've never seen it done, and have it be sustained. You know, so so that's why we need more encouragers in this world. We need people that are uplifting and they can help one another, love one another, share the whole idea of loving one another, a higher level, a higher law, right? What we learned, and we need that. We need that in this world. We need more encouragers, man. So vibrating at higher frequency, having that positive outlook in life, and seeing the benefit and good in others. We need a lot of that, man. We need a ton of that, and we encourage you guys to be an encourager. Link up with us and join our movement, man. Join the tribe and become an encourager. With only $5.99, $5.99 a month, you can be an encourager too.
And not just okay, if you don't have someone in your life telling you to be better, that's challenging. If you don't have someone in your life that loves you and wants you to be better than yourself, this is the chance where we're going to look you in the eye in the camera. We're going to look you in the eye and say, hey, be better, be positive, improve. If you
Absolutely.
feel negativity and other things are dragging you down, it is a choice to be kind to somebody. It is a choice to want to improve. Is it going to be easy? Not necessarily. Okay, so I think that message needs to be out there. For most people, it's not easy. So just know ahead of time, hey, it's not going to be easy, but is it going to be worth it? Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll be worth
100%.
it.
100%, man.
Let's drink to that one.
Yeah. Fire, brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, next episode, man, I'm getting me a bowl of kava, my bucket of kava. Yeah, I felt good this last time that I went and drank some kava with folau. Felt really good. Super tau. But the thing about this kava that we had, it wasn't the good vibes kava. It was some other kava from locally here from Elwa. It was Elwa kava, but normally Elwa kava is like
It's good.
clean. It tasted clean and everything, but the after effects, usually I can get up right away the next day and go and do stuff, but this one had me dragging, man. I don't know what it was. Had me dragging.
Maybe just from being tofu like it was. Once it's a certain
Yeah.
level of tofu, then you are going to pay the price.
Yeah, exactly. Normally, typically it's 8 ounces of kava powder per 2 gallons of water. We did 2.5 cups of kava powder to the, I think, 2 gallons of water. So that was straight brutal, bro. And, we had the washing machine, the kava powder machine.
Yeah,
So it got everything out. I mean, it was super taufua, super. When I say taufua, I mean super strong, like gritty,
thick, right?
thick.
Less
Yeah,
water, less water per kava.
yeah, less water per kava. So you're essentially drinking mud.
And muddy water.
Yeah, you can taste the grains and the sediments in the root from the kava root. But yeah, no tip. Normally I get up right away, pop up next day, and I'm cool. But this kava had me down, man. Maybe it's the first time I drank tofu in a minute, but it's very super interesting.
One of the reasons why I love the good vibes kava, even when it's, I mean, once you pass a certain level, right, it just is what it is. But it's the taste is smooth
Hmm.
and you're good the next day in
Yeah,
general.
see, that's what you need. I think that's the perfect reason to go with good vibes kava is that blend and also the
Mm-hmm.
feeling of the next day. I think that's the number one. Remember when you guys brought it down for my reception? I felt great the next day. I could function and go do whatever I needed to do. But there's not a lot of kava like that. We need to get more of that good vibes out there. Get more of that good vibes kava.
Yeah, still in the works. Some minor delays, but still in the works there.
Right on, man. Right on.
We'll
Let
be
us know what
drinking
we
it.
need.
Yeah, we'll be mixing it in Utah for the Utah trip for those that are gonna make it.
Yes. Man, we had a little bit of slight change of plans. Our time to fly out there got delayed, so we gotta kind of have to adjust and pivot a little bit. We're still planning on trying to make it, but it's going to be super difficult. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not saying that we're not going to be there, but
Mm.
it might just be me, which is kind of a bummer
Well, well, I'll be
but
there. I'll be there Wednesday. So
that
you
week.
just, yeah, yep. So that's when we've got the Airbnb and everything. So feel free to come on out if that's the case.
Hmm.
If you need to come early and solo, then we could knock out the podcast and it's not gonna be too many people, so it'd be good to just catch up. So, just
Yeah,
throwing that out there, throwing it out there.
that's cool. So
If
Wednesday, so was that the second,
Wednesday's the third.
third? Oh, okay, third.
Yeah.
Man, that's just right around the corner.
Yeah, I get there at like 10:30 a.m. So I'm there early because I'm flying from East Coast, right? So we essentially save time coming back over there, and then Coach has an event at that afternoon on that one, and then we get into the Airbnb at 4 that day.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's an event that Wednesday when you fly in.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I believe Saturday. Coach has it packed up for OFA events. I
Oh, nice.
think that's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, I believe. I got to go back and look. So it's far back in the chat now, so I don't know
Right on.
exactly. But as we get closer, we'll touch base. But I'm glad that there's still a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, there is. We'll see how it goes, man. But yeah, man. We have a lot of cool people planned to be on the podcast. Please look out for that. We have inspirational was it runner, like her name is Soph Kumari. I think I'm saying that right. Hopefully have her on the podcast this Sunday. She's a long distance runner. One of her videos went super viral all over social media. So for her running in San Francisco, she's from San Francisco, and she ran like a 22 miles in one day and just makes it look like super easy. So we hope
Yeah, I
we're
saw
gonna
that
pick her
video you
brain.
posted.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, come on a run with me. I'm gonna run like 10 miles, and it's like 22 miles later. She's running 20. Crazy. Who goes out and
Wowzers.
runs 22 miles in a day?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's hard for me to run a mile.
Right. So yeah, we plan on having Soph Kumari, I think that's how you say her name, on the podcast this Sunday evening. We'll be able to talk to her about her running, what motivates her, and maybe if you guys have any questions coming up, you can look it up. She's on TikTok, all over social media. Soph Kumari, it's her name. If you have any questions for her, let us know. We also look forward to having the first Tongan billionaire, Naomi Ballantyne. We also just putting it out there right now to our listeners, put us in check and keep us in check with this, because we want to get her on. The first I've ever known of Polynesian, Tongan, Fijian billionaire that I've ever known of out there in the community, in the Pacific Island community. So her name is Naomi Ballantyne. Her background's in life insurance. She created some of the top life insurance companies out of New Zealand. We look forward to having her. Reached out to her people. She's currently traveling right now. But we look forward to having her on the podcast too, along with some future artists that we plan on having on our podcast, who we want to get on our EP album, which we are still working on. Right now is April 19th. One of our goals was to finish and solidify one track this month, and we hopefully are going to finish that up by the end of this month. Get one track finished.
We're gonna need to set up a time notice where we
Yeah,
just mix and knock out one of the tracks,
maybe this Sunday.
or
If you're,
Saturday night or Friday night.
yeah, I'm free all this week, so we can do that.
Okay.
But just some of the things that we have planned up for our podcast. So you guys stay tuned, and there we'll keep you updated on all our social media. And also, if you guys have anything you guys want us to talk about or to cover, or someone you want to be on our podcast that is a natural born encourager, please reach out to us and have us reach out to them, or have them contact us. You can reach out to us at theencouragerspodcast.com or any of our social media sites. Send us a DM. We are always checking it. One of our major producers, Joe, he's always on top of it. He's always looking at our DMs and replying back to people. Thank you, Joe, for doing that. But yeah, we have a bunch of things planned up for our podcast. Thank you guys for rocking with us. If there's anything that we could do to add value to your life, please let us know. And Jake, do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it. Just keep encouraging everybody out there. And if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube, you probably have. But if you haven't, please go ahead and subscribe. That's going to help us a ton. We're at 89 subs right now, close to our goal of 100. And then the next big goal, the big goal is we got to get to 1,000. That's going to help us. So we need to get there so we can actually monetize. And once we get there, then some real big things, we can really make the show a lot better. So, for now, please keep sharing and liking our content, ask us questions, comment in the sections. All that stuff helps us with the algorithm. And if you help with the algorithm, that'll get out to more people. And then the sooner we can get to 1,000.
Right. And shout out to last year, Poa. She is from Australia, and she played basketball in Australia. She's a national champion. She plays on the Louisiana State University LSU basketball team, last tier POA. We put a social media video about her latest national championship win. It's on our Instagram page and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Shout out to her for representing Polynesians, and we invited her. We hopefully have her on the show, talk to her about her journey being a basketball player here in America, being from Australia, and we look forward to having her someday on our podcast. And shout out to her for winning the national championship in women's basketball at NCAA. Shout out to you, last year POA. Such a unique name. Got to ask her about her name and her background. But
one other shout out I'll give, since it's one of the homies, and I'm super proud of how he's been able to grow his following. It's actually really impressive. But the Bitter Cup, just spell
Big
that. If you go to
Us.
if you go to the Bitter Cup, he's over 45,000 subscribers. And if you like Polynesian content, humor, and dancing, he's the one to go to. So it's at the Bitter Cup, and it got a great sense of humor, good music vibes. We usually go to him for the playlist. You've heard us talk about him before. So shout out to Big Aussie.
Yeah. Also, Big Us, if you're listening, I know you're listening, brother. We need you on the show, man. Come on the podcast. Gotta, do a Joe Rogan style. We just talk to all our friends, dude. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
big shout out to us. Keep doing what you're doing, man. It's so inspiring, and
Yep.
such a talented,
We love to see it.
super talented individual. So, one of the things that Aussie lived with us and worked with us in New York, a little bit about his, but he was considered a tastemaker, you know, and it kind of goes to show like what he's doing right now and how he's blowing up on social media, with that the Polynesian niche, like it's really transcending. It's really um, translating over to what he's doing now. So big shout out to you, us. Keep it up, brother. Anything else, Jake, you want to touch upon?
That's all I've got.
Right on, man. Thank you guys again for listening, rocking with us. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube. Help us get to that 1,000, and we'll be in touch. Until then, you guys have a great week. Peace.
Ofatu.
Fatu.